So Cuevas
Yep.
is back into the mix here. How did that come about, and where does he fit in with this group here?
Yeah, it's been an ongoing discussion. You know, that he would have desired to come back, and that we never wanted him to leave to begin with, because we liked his game and we liked his trajectory. So it's just an opportunity that makes sense for everybody on all sides to bring him in, and he gives us, again, more depth, more competition, more future, more different things inside the position. He and Lucas are obviously both pretty young guys, so that gives us two guys that we can look into the future for. You know, Kelv gives us some immediate veteran presence, but we can use Kelv in different ways. He's a hybrid of can be a third center back sometimes. When we use him in that way, he can do some different things. So it's flexibility, and it's a guy that he's one of ours that we never really wanted him to leave in the first place, and so he's gained some experience. He's seen the world in a different way. He's seen the game in a different way, and now he comes back. But he's going to be involved in the under-20 tournament before he actually really is probably fully on with us. So he's got a little business to take care of first.
Do you see him as a center back, or is he one of the guys who can get on the wing and get up? Or?
No, he's a full back. I see Mauricio as a right back. He can also play on the left side. He's done that with the under-20s. He's pretty versatile in that way. Again, he's in the similar mold to Lucas, in that you can tuck him inside. He's not necessarily a flyer up and down the line, but he's a very good soccer player in terms of out of possession, good timing in his movements forward. So again, there's a little bit of a trend and a mold with fullbacks that we've added here in the last little stretch, that we feel like they're good, competent, reliable outside backs that can do a great job for us.
The search for the piece on the wing didn't, I guess, materialize. There was talk of the team going after Paul Arriola. Confirm that at all? Or?
Yeah, as I said to you, there was a lot of. I went through the list of players that we were looking at, communicating with, clubs that we had spoken to. We were very, very particular in many ways, and didn't want to settle, and wanted somebody who could really come in and who we felt could, really take our team to a different level if that was the case. And if we couldn't, then we would remain disciplined in the project. And so we looked, like I said, at a number of guys, and for varying reasons with each guy, this window is challenging, because everybody's under contract right now. Very few guys are without contract. So then you have to work with clubs. You have to sometimes pay transfer fees. Then you have to pay a salary to a player who you want to come here to be a starter, or to be a guy who's really trying to take us to another level. In the winter window, it can be challenging in that capacity. And so a lot of the guys that we talked to, there's not one person who wasn't under some sort of situation that became very difficult to achieve what we wanted to. So we have some resources. We'll continue to grow. Our team is, getting Javier healthy for the last two games, getting Douglas back into the mix, getting our two fullbacks back into the group. We are, getting healthier, and we're getting. I think we're continuing to get better as a group, and so we keep our money, and we see where we are as we continue to progress towards the summer, and maybe we even make a more specific move that is beneficial for the group in the summer if the right thing happens.
That move would have to be before the window opens.
No, that move would have to be internal now.
Okay.
Yeah, so it would be internal, but. What happens in the summer is there's so much movement with players coming in from the outside. It also can free up players on the inside. So it's just, the winter windows are sometimes challenging, especially once it closes in January in Europe, because teams can't replace the guys that you take from them. So look, we think we're in a position now to keep progressing our group, and maybe even make a more pointed decision here in the summer.
Yeah, and with the addition of Cuevas, you guys have young defenders now. It looks like you're building a back line for the future.
Yeah, we are, as we build the roster, it's very intentional that we have a group of players that we feel are going to help us lead us to a lot of success in the short term, but we also have those players who think we can help us in the short term that will give us core stability in the long term. We also believe we have value in our roster. So as you saw with Julian and Ravelis last year, we have players that as they continue to grow in their game, maybe options for them outside of the league come, which then allows you also to reinvest in your team. So we're creating a process now where we can where we have assets, we have depth, we have quality, and we have longevity both in our group, which gives us, from window to window some flexibility to keep trying to improve instead of keep reacting from window to window. So we feel like we've been very disciplined in our roster development here over the last year and a half, 2 years, and so we're gonna make sure we stick with it and be smart about it. So the guys we've got have been very influential and are proving that they are gonna really help our team.
Your thoughts on Orlando City?
Yeah, every team that Oscar coaches, and I used to play with Oscar, is hard to play against. They're feisty, they're just combative, they're difficult to play against, and so it's no surprise that his team now is they have some injury issues, and they're going through some of the challenges that teams go through, like us at the beginning of seasons. So they're trying to find some stability with things, but no matter what, when you go to Orlando, it's always going to be a hard game. And so they've varied a little bit their shape. They've played 5 in the back, they've played 4 in the back, they've done different things. So we're not really sure what they'll do from that side of things, but you're always guaranteed to have, that he's going to have good players and they're going to be combative. And so, we've got to try to be smart and focus on ourselves and try to, again, I thought this weekend we closed some of the gaps that we had been seeing in games prior, and if we continue to close those gaps, continue to become more efficient in our final actions, then we're going to create margins that are more favorable for us in terms of getting results week in and week out. So I think we made a good step forward for sure this weekend, but I think the last 2 weekends have been better in terms of our overall performances.
What's it kind of been like game planning this week, knowing Ricky Puig won't step on the field?
Yeah, it's just the next guy up. It's we fill in with the player that we think, in terms of our game plan and the way we want to approach this game, that's going to give us the best chance at the start to get off to a good start and to try to get ahead of the game. And so it is. I mean, you miss Ricky because he's obviously a dynamic and outstanding player, and a lot of things will go through him through the course of the game, but we'll bring somebody in who will give us their version of what we need on the course of the day, and the group needs to go out and perform.
Yeah, my final question. I mean, Efrain Alvarez last couple games hasn't gotten much playing time.
Yeah.
What does he need to do to get back onto the field and actually get quality minutes?
Yeah, just keep working. Keep working for Efra. It's he's been putting in a lot of work off the field, on the field. It's to stay resilient in the moments when things aren't so clear for you, and keep fighting on and keep working on the things that he needs to do. And this last week was a challenging one because he missed most of the week because he was off with Mexico, and with Douglas back into the mix, and with Memo, you have a couple guys who are similar in what they do, and I needed on the bench to fill some other spots just in case the game went one way or another. So it was more just it was more of a fact that he was away for a week, and other guys had prepared the game plan, and we had some options that could do similar things on the weekend. But he's a guy that needs to continue to grow and develop and be influential on the field, and keep fighting for his minutes, and proving his talent and all those things, and it'll come back around for him. He just needs to keep working.
Douglas came on for a short period. I think he created 3 chances, whatever. Came on to allow booze from the crowd, though. You think he's finally reached a point where he has his role, that you can see him going forward as a positive influence on the group?
I do. It's been unfortunate that he got injured in preseason, but I think for what it's worth, he used the time from when he was injured to when he came back. Like I said, he dropped weight. He's lean. I see him sprinting and training more so than I've seen in the year he's been here, year and change that he's been here. He's more dynamic. He's sharper. And then he came back and made a silly mistake, and that lost some momentum that he was picking up on the comeback. And I think, maybe in that he lost a little bit of trust of some people, whether it's fans or whatever. But he's been around the block a time or two, so he knows that just got to get out there and perform. He came on the field. He had a great impact inside of the game. I thought he put in a good shift work-wise. And he knows that, that's what he's just got to do, game in and game out, is put in the proper shift, and his talent will take care of itself. He needs to be dynamic without the ball sometimes, which I've seen more of him, that, like I said, in this last stretch than I've seen from him in a year. So I have a lot of confidence that he's going to play an important role in what we're doing, and getting him settled into a rhythm within the group is going to help him as well. But he likes the players. I have a good relationship with him. Like, I do believe that he wants to be successful within this group and wants the group to be successful. And if that's your starting point, then with his talent, you have an opportunity to really help out.
Right. Well, and then there, just so Greg can get inside the business.
All right, that's it.
Well, Vicky
He's shutting it
So we
down.
can catch you inside.
Yeah, I can.
looking on the back line, you have a lot of young players back there. How are you seeing them all come together? Jalen, Julian, and Lucas.
En la línea defensiva ahorita tienes a muchos juveniles como Jalen, Lucas, Julián. ¿Cómo estás viendo que se está acoplando esa línea defensiva?
Bueno, por suerte principalmente creo que son jugadores de calidad que creo a la hora de jugar un juego le resulta mucho más fácil también, ¿no? Creo que Lucas, como Julián, son jugadores jóvenes que vienen de selecciones importantes como puede ser la brasilera o la argentina. Y bueno, Jalen también, que es un jugador que ya ha estado en las divisiones inferiores, más te digo, hasta ha jugado partidos internacionales con Estados Unidos. Pero son jugadores a proyección que seguramente van a hacer una buena carrera porque tienen margen, obviamente, a seguir creciendo.
Luckily, I think they're great players, and when you're playing with that type of player, I think it's a lot easier for me as well. Lucas and Julian are young players that play in, for important national teams like Brazil and Argentina, and then you also have Jalen, who also plays up there, has played international matches with the senior team, and I think it's players who have great careers ahead of them and a lot of room for growth.
What areas do you think they need to grow?
¿En qué áreas crees que necesitan aún crecer y desarrollarse como jugadores?
No, en general, no es principalmente un área que necesitamos estar mejor, ¿no? Si vamos al inicio del campeonato, es un inicio de campeonato que nos haya gustado, ¿no? Recién la victoria es en la jornada octava. Creo que más allá de los grandes jugadores que hay en el equipo y el modo de jugar, no se han conseguido resultados. Pero bueno, hay que seguir mejorando, tratando de ser positivos y bueno, llegado al punto ahora que tenemos un nuevo partido, tratar de conseguir la victoria, ¿no? No pasa por otra cosa de momento que ganar, que conseguir victorias, que es lo principal y bueno, y agarrar confianza, que es lo que más se necesita, porque hasta el día de hoy se ha visto gran juego del equipo, pero no resultados. Entonces, en este momento son los resultados que necesitamos.
I don't think he fully answered your question, but I want to say what he says. I think in general he's talking about what the team needs to get better on. I think it's it's just the beginning of the tournament, and we've been lacking wins, and we finally got our first win. But more than that, I think we just need more results, and we need to get better at that and just get more victories. At the moment, I think we're focused on that, on securing more wins and getting more confidence on the field. And I think you have seen great games from our guys on the field, but the results hadn't been coming, so that's where our focus is now.
Pero usted, Martín, ¿te gusta esa responsabilidad de así ser el líder de este grupo muy joven en la defensa?
Sí, creo que uno, en base a la experiencia que he tenido, ya con 36 años, obviamente, no es que me guste, siempre fue así, porque bueno, el hecho de estar tantos años en Europa, en la selección también mucho tiempo, trata obviamente, sobre todo, de transmitir tranquilidad a los compañeros, porque bien decía él, hay mucha gente joven y también necesitan gente de mirar y tomar como ejemplo, ¿no? Y bueno, creo que lo principal que uno a la hora del vestuario, a la hora de estar en el campo, transmite, porque hay gente joven que está creciendo y tiene muy buenas posibilidades de seguir creciendo, pero bueno, principalmente miro por ese lado, ¿no? Dar un apoyo y tratar de ser ejemplo.
Y para el juego que se viene contra...
Let me finish. The question was on if he likes the responsibility of being a leader on the team. And he says, I think based on my experience, my experience of playing in Europe many years and with the national team for a long time, I try to give a lot of, I don't know if tranquility is the word, but calmness to the players. It's a lot of young players on our roster, and a lot of times they need a little bit of direction and someone to set the example. And I think when I'm in the locker room and on the field, I want to be there to support and be an example for them.
Y para el juego que viene contra Orlando, ¿qué va a ser las claves para la victoria?
Bueno, principalmente, no sé si la clave, pero bueno, recién ahora creo que la jornada 9 se está teniendo todo el plantel definitivo, ¿no? A no ser Ricky ahora que no juega obviamente por amarillas. Recién el partido pasado Chicha está volviendo, 2 partidos que va jugando 90 minutos. Douglas también, que ha entrado un poco y se está sintiendo obviamente un poco más cómodo después de la lesión. Y recién ahora se está obviamente teniendo el plantel definitivo, por eso tampoco se ha ayudado a tener resultados hasta la jornada número 8, ¿no? Pero no hay una solución para conseguir obviamente resultados, sino obviamente empeño, disponibilidad y bueno, tratar que salgan las cosas de la mejor manera, ¿no? Entonces toca a Orlando y seguir a buscar los 3 puntos como generalmente se está haciendo, pero no se estaba consiguiendo.
The question was on the game against Orlando and what are the keys to getting a victory. And he says, not sure if it's a specific key, but I think this game we have most of the team that's come together. Not Ricky, of course, because of the cards, but we have Chicharito, who's been back for 2 games, and Douglas, who is also back. And I think the roster is coming together nicely. And I don't know that there's just one solution to get the results, but I think it's hard work and doing things the right way, like we've been doing. Any other questions? No? Good? All good?
Gracias.
No, de nada.
Looking on the back line, you have a lot of young players back there. How are you seeing them all come together? Jalen, Julian, and Lucas.
En la línea defensiva ahorita tienes a muchos juveniles como Jalen, Lucas, Julián. ¿Cómo estás viendo que se está acoplando esa línea defensiva?
Bueno, por suerte principalmente creo que son jugadores de calidad que creo a la hora de jugar un juego le resulta mucho más fácil también, ¿no? Creo que Lucas, como Julián, son jugadores jóvenes que vienen de selecciones importantes como puede ser la brasilera o la argentina. Y bueno, Jalen también, que es un jugador que ya ha estado en las divisiones inferiores, más te digo, hasta ha jugado partidos internacionales con Estados Unidos. Pero son jugadores a proyección que seguramente van a hacer una buena carrera porque tienen margen obviamente a seguir creciendo.
Luckily, I think they're great players, and when you're playing with that type of player, I think it's a lot easier for me as well. Lucas and Julian are young players that play for important national teams like Brazil and Argentina, and then you also have Jalen, who also plays up there, has played international matches with the senior team, and I think it's players who have great careers ahead of them and a lot of room for growth.
What areas do you think they need to grow?
¿En qué áreas crees que necesitan aún crecer y desarrollarse como jugadores?
No, en general no es principalmente un área que necesitamos estar mejor, ¿no? Si vamos al inicio del campeonato, es un inicio de campeonato que nos haya gustado, ¿no? Recién la victoria es en la jornada 8ª. Creo que más allá de los grandes jugadores que hay en el equipo y el modo de jugar, no se han conseguido resultados. Pero bueno, hay que seguir mejorando, tratando de ser positivos y bueno, llegado al punto ahora que tenemos un nuevo partido, tratar de conseguir la victoria, ¿no? No pasa por otra cosa de momento que ganar, que conseguir victorias, que es lo principal y bueno, y agarrar confianza, que es lo que más se necesita, porque hasta el día de hoy se ha visto gran juego del equipo, pero no resultados. Entonces, en este momento son los resultados que necesitamos.
I don't think he fully answered your question, but I want to say what he says. I think in general he's talking about what the team needs to get better on. I think it's it's just the beginning of the tournament, and we've been lacking wins, and we finally got our first win. But more than that, I think we just need more results, and we need to get better at that and just get more victories. At the moment, I think we're focused on that, on securing more wins and getting more confidence on the field. And I think you have seen great games from our guys on the field, but the results hadn't been coming, so that's where our focus is now.
Pero usted, Martín, ¿te gusta esa responsabilidad de así ser el líder de este grupo muy joven en la defensa?
Sí, creo que uno, en base a la experiencia que he tenido, ya con 36 años, obviamente, no es que me guste, siempre fue así, porque bueno, el hecho de estar tantos años en Europa, en la selección también mucho tiempo, trata obviamente, sobre todo, de transmitir tranquilidad a los compañeros, porque bien decía él, hay mucha gente joven y también necesitan gente de mirar y tomar como ejemplo, ¿no? Y bueno, creo que lo principal que uno a la hora del vestuario, a la hora de estar en el campo, transmite, porque hay gente joven que está creciendo y tiene muy buenas posibilidades de seguir creciendo, pero bueno, principalmente miro por ese lado, ¿no? Dar un apoyo y tratar de ser ejemplo.
Y para el juego que se viene contra...
Let me finish.
Sorry.
The question was on if he likes the responsibility of being a leader on the team. And he says, I think based on my experience, my experience of playing in Europe many years and with the national team for a long time, I try to give a lot of, I don't know if tranquility is the word, but calmness to the players. It's a lot of young players on our roster, and a lot of times they need a little bit of direction and someone to set the example. And I think when I'm in the locker room and on the field, I want to be there to support and be an example for them.
Y para el juego que viene contra Orlando, ¿qué va a ser las claves para la victoria?
Bueno, principalmente, no sé si la clave, pero bueno, recién ahora creo que la jornada 9 se está teniendo todo el plantel definitivo, ¿no? A no ser Ricky ahora que no juega obviamente por amarillas. Recién el partido pasado Chicha está volviendo, 2 partidos que va jugando 90 minutos. Douglas también, que ha entrado un poco y se está sintiendo obviamente un poco más cómodo después de la lesión. Y recién ahora se está obviamente teniendo el plantel definitivo, por eso tampoco se ha ayudado a tener resultados hasta la jornada número 8, ¿no? Pero no hay una solución para conseguir obviamente resultados, sino obviamente empeño, disponibilidad y bueno, tratar que salgan las cosas de la mejor manera, ¿no? Entonces toca a Orlando y seguir a buscar los 3 puntos como generalmente se está haciendo, pero no se estaba consiguiendo.
The question was on the game against Orlando and what are the keys to getting a victory. And he says, not sure if it's a specific key, but I think this game we have most of the team that's come together. Not Ricky, of course, because of the cards, but we have Chicharito, who's been back for 2 games, and Douglas, who is also back. And I think the roster is coming together nicely. And I don't know that there's just one solution to get the results, but I think it's hard work and doing things the right way, like we've been doing. Any other questions? No? Good? All good?
Gracias.
No, de nada.